All right, welcome back to our daily dojo here at Medicare Gurus. Today, I am joined by Penny. As always, here, Penny is terrific. It is the first, not really first, because we were here Saturday too, but first full business day on a Monday for AEP. So it's been a little bit crazy. It's been a little bit hectic so far. And that's definitely one. Christopher, look at Adrian. Yeah. So I'm sure we're going to have some war stories here by the end of the day. I know I'm already, if that's another notification, I am now 5 missed calls since the 10 minutes I've been in here. Another one. So we're not going to keep these long, but we just want to go over some points. Just really talk about kind of what's going on, see if there's anything that we can kind of teach, not only you guys, but then if you guys can teach me something, or I might be able to teach you. So, Christopher, I see you brought your notepad. You got any questions for me? Anything that's happened recently that's caught your eye or confused you a little bit?
No, but I've made a practice, and I think it's a good one too. Like if I'm calling a potential client and it's ringing.
Can you grab the mic too?
Oh yeah, I'm listening to you. If you're on a phone call, I'm learning a lot. Mm-hmm. It might be that I'm listening, and then I get, I'm on a voicemail or I'm on a call later. But like when it's ringing, I'm listening to what you're saying, even if it's just 30 or 45 seconds at a time. And then you were talking about the differences between Plan G and Plan N, and so on and so forth, and just learning as I go. So, but of course, I want to get the dials in and get somebody on the phone, and that's the learning process too. Obviously, one of the most valuable. It's always valuable when you learn something new. So, and yeah, and also what else did I learn? Don't root for the Cowboys. Okay, no, but there's always next year. They're still in it. They can do it anyway. We're not talking about football. Tossing it over you.
No, and I think that's actually really good that you do that. Especially if you work in an office setting, I pull stuff from everybody. How they say, what they say, if they have different sayings, if they explain something different than I would explain it. Just because you can pull from everybody's personality and join everything, where you might say something and you're like, oh, I like that he said that, but you put your little twist on it.
Right. One of the things I really like that you said is, you're leaving a voicemail, you say you want to have some sense of urgency to it, and then you want to fluctuate between being pleasant and then, but you put that seriousness in there. And I can't help you through a voicemail, So I've kind of integrated that, and then maybe I'll do like a little chuckle, but then I get serious. Mm-hmm. So that's I don't know. I think that's a good one.
It's always the little stuff to kind of tweak and do it. And I haven't been doing that long. I've just been doing it for the past couple months, but it's the one thing that you do learn from the very beginning, that you can't sell anything through a voicemail. You can't
help somebody through.
You can't help somebody through a voicemail. You can't sell them anything through a voicemail. A voicemail is to get a phone call back, so you can talk to a human. That's why we were doing voicemail training recently with you and Justice, and I went over and it doesn't realize it. I'm going to ask Penny this now too. When you get voicemails on your phone, are they transcribed into paragraphs when you click on them?
Yeah, they are. They're in a paragraph form.
So do you read your voicemails or do you listen to your voicemail first?
I listen first.
Okay. That's the new age, as we get a new wave of people that are coming on to 65 here that have dealt with a whole lot more technology, especially talking iPhone, cell phones, 5G, whatever it is. A lot of these people are going to resort to reading their voicemails first to see. Because with it, I know I do that already. I don't even want to listen to it. And if somebody's calling me, first and foremost, I'm like, why are you calling me? I didn't call you off my cell phone. Like, I have my cell phone for a 29-year-old. It's basically emergency purposes and to play Spotify, to play music, listen to podcasts, and if I have to call or text somebody in an emergency situation. Like, I hate using my cell phone. I'm an old man with it. But when I get calls, I go, I didn't call you, so why are you calling me? I'm going to read it first. That's kind of where it's coming here in the future. That's why when you actually listen, you want to approach it two different ways. You want to, when you're leaving the voicemail, you want it to have it listen very well. And so that's what you're talking about with tone and inflection. You know, you want to be cognizant of it, you know, sounding up and down a little bit, having a great call to action, but also having your personality in it. But what people don't realize too is that you need to have it read well too. So it's not just, oh man, this guy sounds great on a voicemail, you know, you're just flowing. Well, you know, in your head you might be flowing, and that might be a minute and a half voicemail, and the person who gets the voicemail looks at their phone like this, and it's the whole screen and more, and you have to scroll. Now, you tell me if somebody knows me, if they leave me a voicemail and I have to scroll to read the entire thing. Do you think they know me?
No.
Do you think they know me?
Maybe. I to answer that question, I mean, sometimes people leave me a voicemail. If somebody is my friend, like I'll listen to the voicemail. They want to tell me something important or interesting or funny, but I take your point though. Like, this is not something that I actually don't do that. I just listen to my voicemails, but I'm
my spam.
I'm not 24 or 19.
Yeah.
You know,
only my spam gets transcribed, so that's part way I don't read them because it's in my spam.
Yeah. Well, my spam gets filtered, but
well, it's filtered. It's all.
But yeah, it's just a somewhat personal, but also generational thing, because I don't do that. Like read my voicemails. I don't do that.
It's just a way of the future coming up. I think that's what it is.
I think another point to bring up though is that, like, if it is, I guess because I have the spam filter on, like I don't really get voicemails from people that are calling trying to sell me things very often, but I make a decision. You're going to back me up on this. I'm pretty sure. I can tell in 5 seconds.
Yep.
Or less. And I'll just be like, bam, delete that right away. Because, you know, yeah. So that initial, like those very first few seconds are crucial, you know. So what you say, even whether it's being read or if it's being listened to, you gotta make that first few seconds count.
I think it goes back to when we start thinking about, you know, as I love the philosophy behind it and everything too. It's really if you're reading it, if you're hearing it, you just want the other person to be genuine. That's what the first few seconds of an intro is. That's what the first few seconds of a voicemail is. That's why your intro and your voicemail are the same thing. Because they're both, hey, I've got your request for help. So what's going on? Because we don't know. They could have. I think you had somebody looking for, was it rental assistance today? I had somebody looking for rental assistance as well today. Calling, and I called and said, hey, yeah, you know, dim intro. So what's going on? And he goes, oh no, I'm good. And I go, okay, well, what were you looking for? He goes, I was looking for assistance with paying my rent. I was in the hospital and I ran a little bit later and I didn't have the money to pay my rent because I had to pay the hospital. So it's like, okay, we got a few things here we're going to uncover. Let me see what I can help you with. And naturally, it was able to steer that conversation into, we talked about his Medicare. Turns out he's not on Part A. He's just on Part B. And he doesn't receive Medicaid assistance.
Wow.
What the heck?
And he's getting evicted.
Oh my
because
goodness.
he didn't pay his rent while he was in the hospital.
Wow.
Oh, that's
so
messy.
Now, here's the thing. I learned all of this, and I could have immediately, when I said, yeah, so what's going on? He's like, yeah, I got everything handled.
What? No, you don't.
Yeah, no. Okay, if you got everything handled, why were you looking at something? Or what were you looking at? That's why it's so important to know where some of the people that you talk to, because it might be something completely different. You know, I looked and, you know, with no Part A, you're pretty much back into a corner. He had a drug plan and that was it. And he thought his drug plan covered his whole hospital stay. And I had to break that to him.
Oh.
So,
rough call.
Because he'd already, he was in the hospital.
Yeah,
he's
got an eviction been in the hospital
notice
for a while.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ooh,
So
hadn't he been billed for the hospital stay yet, or what?
He hadn't got it in the mail yet.
Well, So he's
But-
gonna owe at least what? Yeah, a lot. Who knows?
A lot of who knows. But it was one that to where I could have stopped at. No, I've got everything taken care of.
Yeah. Well, that actually happened to me too, which is, when you call somebody, you don't know them, they don't know you. Okay, so people's default is skepticism, right? So and of course you want to have rebuttals. Some people call them rebuttals. Some people don't like that term, but if they say something, you have to know what to say quick. What's the right thing to say to them? And even if you do say the right thing, it may not work.
Right.
Okay, and that's okay. It's the nature of this job. Any other kind of job, the outbound calling, that sort of thing. So thing is that I was talking to this guy, and he said that he had A and B, and then and I said, well, what other kind of coverage do you have? He's like, I'm all set. I'm like, well, what other kind of coverage do you have in place? And he didn't seem to know what I was talking about with like Plan F and Plan G or anything like that. And then I assumed that he was like on some sort of Advantage plan, I suppose, right? But he said, I got it all taken care of, and I don't want to talk about it, and so on and so forth. And then it was just like, I didn't kick him out of my queue because I think that we could help him. But it was just like, I started to go into like, well, you want to be concerned about like catastrophic care and not ending up, with like a lifetime of medical debt. And what's the percentage on bankruptcy? That's a
Stephen Grip stat. I think it's like 60% or so.
Yeah, 60% of bankruptcies in the United States are medical debt. Okay,
Yeah.
and it's like, hey man, like you don't want to be in this situation. I'm all set. Get off the phone. Hey man, you know what? If you say you're all set, that is remains to be seen. You think you might. Lots of people maybe think they're all set, but they're not. In reality, a lot of them are not.
Right.
And when you say you're all set, you got to be like, wait a minute. That's like saying, what? It's a highly dubious statement.
Yes, it is.
I mean, yeah.
I'll compare that to my truck last week.
Right.
Okay.
You thought you were all
To
set
where-
with your truck, right?
to where I have my oil pressure light comes on, then I get it towed, and they can't find anything with it, and then they just go, well, if/when it does mess up, let us know. We'll take another look. And I was like, that doesn't make me feel very reassured.
Yeah. Well,
Right? Like no, we did everything we could to look at your truck. We know what's wrong with it. But they were like, yeah, we couldn't find any codes. We drove it around. We did all this. Like, it just wouldn't populate for us. So if and when it does happen again, bring it back. Now I'm like, I don't know if I want to bring it back, man.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, you got Murphy's Law. That's one thing. And then the other thing is that, like, if this guy were to talk it through with me, I'll be like, okay, like, what's your plan? What happens? And what are the contingencies here? Like, what's the worst case scenario? Okay. Like, are you really ready for that? Because I bet you're not.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know what Plan F and Plan G are, and you're how old you are, you already know about Medicare, but you don't know about the supplemental plans. And it sounded to me like maybe he was talking to somebody and who was pitched an Advantage plan, and they talked him into it. And like now I don't know. You see, because I couldn't. He didn't stay on the phone long enough with me to even just explore whether he could be on a supplemental plan or shop around for a better Advantage plan.
Yeah.
Neither of those. He was just like, "Nah, man, I'm a little good," and I'm just like, "Really?" So yeah. Enough said, I guess, about that. I don't know. Maybe Jacob could have pulled a rabbit out of that, but
Maybe.
I mean, the thing is it's okay. It's okay if you feel like you said the right thing. You did the best that you could. I used the knowledge that I had at my disposal, and he was just like, some people are just gonna be like, some dudes call me, I don't know, I want to get off the phone and get back to, I don't know, Netflix or YouTube, or I don't know what this guy was doing. You know what I mean? So
how's your first few days at AP been, Penny?
Well, other than it's been very busy on the phones. I've had that one lady on Saturday that I couldn't call at her appointment time. I was expecting the call in front of her to be much, much shorter. And so then I did call her and leave her some messages on Saturday, but it was after our appointment time. So that was an issue. I need to figure out, I guess, a way to either space out my appointments better, or I'm not sure what the what the be all end all solution is. I know that some people understand that they may be called later than they expected, but as you heard from the voicemail, she wasn't a happy camper. So I'm going to try and call her back today.
Have you noticed any changes in like benefits, or are you starting to recommend one company over another company more? Anything like that?
In some areas, which I think is unusual as far as Advantage plans go, in some areas it looks like they are definitely raising like benefits on the over-the-counter coverage, and
I noticed some of the givebacks got a whole lot higher.
yeah,
Where you might have
givebacks.
looked for a 2020 plan year and a give back is $30, and this upcoming year it's $110. Like the guy we talked to Saturday morning, where we already knew we were going to do a Humana plan, but it just turns out, oh yeah, this plan right here, you have $5 more for a specialist visit, but it'll pay 110 of the 164.
Yeah,
And he was like, yeah, give me that one. Don't give me the
Yeah.
other one.
yeah, that's true. The give back has been much better. Pretty similar, I think, on the doctor visits and stuff, but there's some things that are better. Clearly, but you're right. The give back, that's a big one.
You know what I have noticed, and this is for if you're watching this and you are a actual Medicare recipient here, people who have Elixir drug plans. This has come up quite a bit because we kind of live in the supplemental realm majority of the time here is what we prefer. And I've had people who are on Elixir plans that go from $20 to $60 a month.
Oh, wow.
That's the increase.
Wow.
And they're not changing any benefits. I think Cigna is just kind of getting rid of the old plan. So anytime I talk to somebody with an Elixir, or somebody's like, yeah, my drug plan, it went $60 now. And I was like, you have an Elixir drug plan, don't you? Like, how'd you know that? I mean, you're not the first person to talk to. And I've been surprised by WellCare. WellCare's got quite a few good plans that I've already written so far.
Those are drug plans?
Drug plans and Advantage plans, yeah. WellCare's coming in pretty strong.
But like you still love Medico.
That's a Plan G company. That's what that is.
Okay.
Oh, so let's make that 7 phone calls now that I've missed since we've been in here. So guys, some of these days we're not going to make it to 2 or 1 full hour. We'll do 30-minute videos, just because now for it's 12:20 for the 30 minutes I've been in here, I've had 7 people call me.
Yeah.
So I don't want to take it too long for us. You guys have any other little tips or tricks that you picked up in the past few days? I know you learned we learned the hard way on Saturday about how a drug plan can kill a supplement presentation, because we got that all the way to the goal line, and then all right.
Well, it's also here. Yeah, this is. I feel very strongly it's worth mentioning. Is that you want to get engagement from whoever's on the call? Because I was on this call with the wife, and she was with it. She was saying, yes, let's do it. This makes sense, so on and so forth. And the husband had lesser faculties going on, right? So anyway, he wasn't saying much. He didn't say anything. But boy, when it got to the end, he was just like, he was OG. He was just like from the old school, right? I want to see this on paper, and I need to, he wasn't yelling, it's extreme, but he was like, that kind of thing is like, old school skepticism. You know what I mean? Like, well, I'm not so sure about this. And like, and then Jacob sent him a bunch, and I'm like, do you think they're going to understand what you sent them? And he's like, there's no chance of that.
And I don't want them to understand. Sorry, now you're getting me triggered here on it. No, but essentially you did a terrific presentation. Both were on, where I was asking Christopher at the very end when we were wrapping everything up. I was like, so did you talk to both of them when doing the
Right.
presentation?
That was my point.
He goes, yeah, I did. And I go, okay, but did you address them individually?
So that's the learn right here. That's the lesson. Is it if you say, are you with me? And let's say Mary says, yeah, that makes sense. But what about Gerald?
Mm-hmm.
Gerald, do you understand? Well, that's okay. Not just both of them. Get the other person to say, yes, I understand. That sounds good, or whatever. Some sort of affirmation.
Yeah.
Because that guy didn't say anything the whole presentation, and then when it got to the end, he was just like,
then he has every.
He was
question
obstinate.
Mm-hmm.
That's maybe what SAT word, but or he was like all of a sudden he turned into kind of curmudgeonly, skeptical old guy,
Right.
Which is, I'm not trying to insult anybody, and I didn't use anybody's name, so you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But like the type, he's just like, I don't know about this, and I want to see it in writing.
He's very skeptical, and that kind of just tells me that he might have spaced out during the whole presentation. He was just like, whatever. We're not doing anything. But she actually took it serious because she could see the value in it, and the whole time she was screaming, "I want this! I want this! I want this!" And he was like, "That's too dang bad.
We're gonna pay less for both of us than what I'm paying for myself now." You remember she said that?
Exactly.
And I'm like, this is a no-brainer, except for
in her biggest hurdle,
Ron.
Her biggest hurdle,
whatever,
was her husband. It wasn't.
But we're talking to them tomorrow.
Yeah, we're talking to them tomorrow. But that was her biggest hurdle.
We're going to wrap it up.
Just her husband.
We're going to wrap up that plan.
And then they were asking, because I sent them a screenshot, and they couldn't pull it up. So it's like, okay, now I have to get an outline of coverage with a rate sheet and send it to them. And I said, he was like, I want everything in writing as you possibly can. I go, you know what? Perfect. I will overload you with stuff in writing that you were going to have.
Read this.
That you were going to have no idea how to do. You don't know how to read it. You don't know how to interpret it.
Right.
Like, have you ever looked at a rate sheet? I know you looked at your first one.
Yeah.
So have you ever looked at a rate sheet? How they used to do it back in the day without fancy quote engines and stuff like that.
Oh, my father, that was his job, actuary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where every year they would just print it off, ship it out, and say, here you go. Okay.
But,
he's going to have, and that's when Christopher asked me, he's like, do you think he's going to understand it? And I go, there is not a shot that he is going to understand the diagram. First off, the plan selection. He's not going to understand the rate sheet, and then he's not going to understand the application, like blank application, stuff like that. And I go, there's no way, because he is hunting for anything negative, anything that is barely a bit off. That's what he's looking for. Okay?
Yeah. Well,
he's got some type of suspicion. Okay. He's like the girlfriend that wants to go through your phone. All right. That's what he's like. That's what he's like. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Where the wife is, she loves you. She loves you. We were on the phone with her for 3.5 hours. She better love you.
That's right.
I feel like I interacted with her greatly too. She was a ride or die. She was on Team Christopher and Team Jacob. She did whatever we said. But when it came time, it was the husband saying, no. And even she was like, well, do I have to pay for this right away? And we go, well, it does lock you in. That way you could start. And she was a little defensive and kind of explained a little bit. She goes, oh, no, that makes total sense. Yeah. Okay, so I can pay it today. And we're like, well, it takes them a few days to process, but it might come out like next week or so. Oh, yeah, that's fine. We can get that set up.
Yeah.
Because she saw it on the value. That's why when I asked her, when I first got on the phone, I go, okay, how much is your current coverage costing you? Because in her head, he was all numbers. She was an emotional purchaser. She could see the value behind it, and she goes, even when I run my numbers, it's still less than what I'm paying.
Yeah.
Per
both
month,
of them.
Per month for both of them. And he was on Medicare.
Amazing.
He was on Medicare A and B. He didn't have a drug plan. He didn't have any other plan. Never knew he had to have a drug plan.
Oh.
So
The other lesson, well, there was a number of really good things about that call, but the conclusion was very good too, which because when I was talking to the wife and I said, you want to know this sort of thing. Monday, no good because that's going to the doctor and an appointment. Okay, Tuesday, firm appointment for sure, set up. You want to, if it's not going to be a closed deal, then it's going to be this time and have a good day,
Right.
sweet dreams tonight and,
Yeah.
hope all's well.
Mhm.
Be careful. And we'll talk to you on Tuesday at this time. Right.
That's what's so important with AEP in this time of year too. I had one of our guys that works remote, Jack, who doesn't do Advantage plans. He called me in today looking for me, and he's like, "Hey man, if I got people that want Advantage plans, how can I set you up?" And I go, "Look, you just send me a message with their lead ID, but I want you just to set a time for them for next week or the next day, whenever they are available, when they have an hour to dedicate with no interruptions, nothing." He goes, "Well, what if it like coincides with your schedule?" I go, "It's okay. I'm gonna have somebody else call him. I'm still gonna talk to him at the end of it, but
Mhm.
they need to know the severity of, this time of year
Urgency. Yeah.
when I've been in here for 30 minutes and I'm 7 missed calls that I have to call back now. Love staying during AP. But no, it shows an urgency. It's like, no, you are committing to
Mhm.
this time frame. Like
Yeah.
this is this is, we'll keep calling you, we'll
Right.
try you back. But at that point there, if we miss that appointment, you're number 8 now.
Yeah.
I got to go through 7 first.
Right. Your time's valuable.
Then I'll get to number 8.
Your
Yeah.
time's valuable. My time's valuable too.
Exactly. There's no just because, and this is for all you agents out here too. Don't think that you aren't valuable. You have just an immense amount of value that you bring to every conversation, whether it's selling somebody something or just generally being a good human and helping somebody who is in need. Like the guy that needed help because he got evicted, I was able to find a program in Kentucky that he could actually apply and they could see if they could help him get money to pay his apartment
Housing authority.
so he doesn't get evicted. Yeah. Did I make a sale? No. Did we talk about his Medicare? We did. He doesn't have Part A, so he can't sign up. Was I still a good human and saw, okay, this person needs my help.
Mhm.
Let me see how I can help you.
Yeah. I
And I
had
believe
one like that this morning, too.
I helped him out too. So your time is valuable. You are valuable, but don't ever talk down to yourself or don't ever think that your time is not valuable enough because right now everybody's a hot commodity. They really are. The more time you spend away from your desk, the more stuff you're going to have to do, just type of situation. And that's how it really is for the first 2 weeks or so. Then it gets a little lull and then picks back up towards the end. But for everyone out there, I say, hey, that's what we ended on. You are valuable as an agent. I really hope you're busy too. If you have an elixir drug plan, call me. I'll be your guy. They're real terrible. But any questions on supplemental plans, advantage plans, final expense, dental vision and hearing, hospital indemnity, we are here. If you're a policyholder, if you are a referral, if you are an agent, you just don't know how something works. That's what these are for. So do not hesitate. Give us a quick call. So thanks for joining in. Christopher and Penny, I know this was a short one here. Y'all have a fantastic rest of the day and go sell something.